According to the United Nations, close to 85% of the population in Tigray is food insecure and in dire need of humanitarian assistance. On March 24, the Ethiopian government announced a humanitarian truce with immediate effect and promised to ensure the delivery of much-needed humanitarian assistance into Tigray after blocking all land routes for more than 3 months. But the humanitarian truce is yet to lead to any significant improvements in access for Tigrayans, with less than 6% of aid having reached Tigray since its declaration. This comes as a very little surprise to close observers of Abiy Ahmed throughout his tenure that has marred by deceit. But it's always been clear that Abiy Ahmed has a very flawed understanding of his responsibilities towards the civilian population during conflict. He made that clear during an interview with the state-affiliated media Fana Broadcasting in June of 2021. For one, Abiy Ahmed emphasizes that the threat of a humanitarian corridor being used by his opponents was far too great a risk his government wasn't willing to take.
የደርግ መንግስት ፈተና የነበረው እስከ 77 ድረስ የሻዕቢያ ወታደር የሚባለው እንጂ የወያኔ ወታደር ሄዴክ አልነበረም። ነገር ግን 77 ረሃቡ መጣ ሲባል የምናምን ኮሪደር ይከፈተው ሱዳን በኩል ተብሎ የደርግ መንግስት እንዲወርቅ ይፈልጉ ኃይሎች በአካል ጭምር በረሃ ገብተው በስትራቴጂውም በስልጠናውም በሐሳቡም በገንዘቡም በትጥቁም አብረው ሆነው ከ77 በኋላ ነው ወያኔ ተጠናክሮ በ81 ሽሬን እንኳን መቋጠር የተቻለ።
But Abiy Ahmed's argument here is flawed for multiple reasons. For one, there was never a humanitarian corridor that traveled from Sudan to Tigray. In fact, for much of the famine, there had been no humanitarian corridor at all, despite the famine of the early 1980s being one of the world's worst humanitarian catastrophe that, according to the United Nations, led to the deaths of close to 1 million people. But desperation for humanitarian assistance for their people had driven TPLF leadership to come up with an alternative solution. TPLF would construct a land route 200 kilometers long through the arid lands of western Tigray, so Tigrayans desperate for humanitarian